BBC or the ITV.
Brilliant. What's going on, everyone? It's Mike. It's John back again, having more technical difficulties. However, John is now outside the Hill Dickinson Stadium for supporting us all. He's absolutely flying. He's our John now. He's using a phone that's it's broke. But you can actually hear him. It's phenomenal stuff. John, how are we?
Well, it's stressing me these last couple of days. A brand new phone and Samsung is shit for StreamYard because apparently they put the mic near the earpiece inside the phone. I don't know how that works because one's at the bottom, one's at the top. So it must be, I don't know, must be the phalange.
Brilliant. What is a phalange?
I don't know. It was on the plane and Friends, wasn't it? Said it was broke.
Brilliant. Right. Well, just to let you know, there is a microphone at the top and at the bottom of your phone, so that is why it's picking it up both ways. But anyway, look, we digress. This is not IT support. This is Blue Boys Network talking football, and Everton have been linked with not one but two Goodmansons today. One a defender called Gabriel, and the other one Albert, who is a striker. Now, Everton entered this race for this Goodmanson, this Albert lad. I think he scored 6 goals and he's got 1 assist. I have to be correct because I got pulled the other day for saying that Tom Fellows got 4 assists and I meant to say 14. So just there you go. I'm correcting myself before. But 6 goals, 1 assist in the Italian league, John. Does that fill you with confidence?
Not really, no. Does it sound any better than what we've got? Listen, I'm not. I don't know much about him. Obviously, he can't be any worse than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, really, can he? But David Moyes is obviously looking into Europe for a striker. He's looking into Europe for a fullback as well. We'll probably get onto him. At the end of the day, mate, we need a striker who's more prolific than that because that's no better than. I know I've just said he's probably better than Calvert-Lewin, but that's not hard. But it's not much better than probably Betto last season. I mean, Betto got 10 goals last season, 11 goals, double figures. So if you're going to go down that road with fucking Albert Einstein or whatever his name is, you may as well just keep Betto and bring someone else in who's got more of a better record than that because you're right with what you say. It doesn't really fill us with much confidence with stats like that, does it? I can't hear you.
I'm muted. When you actually compare that to Betto, Betto's value is worth more according to the transfer market. So Betto has I'm not going to say he's proved it in the Premier League, but he's proved he's capable of causing problems in the Premier League. So I think for me, I don't gamble with the sort of money that they want to spend on this particular,
How much is it?
Well, it's rumours of £22 million.
I mean, I'm not being funny. If you're paying £22 million for someone with them stats, then obviously Moyes is seeing a lot more than what the stats say. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, whoever's found this Goodmanson, they must have seen something to be willing to pay 22 million with stats like that because it's not great, is it? We've spoke about on here. We need someone to come in who's going to get you at least 15 goals a season as a striker. With them sort of figures, do you think he comes into the Premier League and gets you 15 goals? I'd be shocked if he did.
Yeah, I wouldn't be confident with it. We've also been linked with other players, and this has been from previous players and pundits and whatever. But we've been linked with Højbjerg from Man United on loan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not being funny, mate. It's one of them with any player from Man U, you look at it and you think, let's make no bones about it, right? Ruben Amorim's gone into there and he's tried to get his style of football into a group of players who can't play that style of football. And he wasn't willing to change to suit the players. So really, he only got a plan B. maybe Højlund didn't suit the way Ruben Amorim played. Would he suit the way Everton play? Listen, again, he hasn't pulled up any trees in the Premier League, Michael. Let's be honest about it, Højlund. So, again, I'd be very sceptical of bringing someone in like Højlund with the stats he's got. Because, again, you look at Højlund, who's played in the Premier League, and you look at Betto, who's played in the Premier League. Betto's got more stats than him. And, again, do you think a Højlund comes into Everton and scores you that 15 goals minimum from the centre-forward position next season? I'm not confident he does either. I think it's lazy links, to be honest with you.
Is there any Premier League strikers you'd want?
Would you Haaland? You know.
Yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because when you go through the top teams and their strikers, right? You look at Liverpool. You had Nunez, who struggled. You look at Arsenal. If Arsenal would have had a striker last season, he'd probably get closer to Liverpool. Man City had a very, very peculiar season with Haaland, and he was off quite a while injured. You look at Man United, they struggled. You look at Tottenham, they lost Kane. They had Son. They brought the lad in from Bournemouth. He didn't really hit the ground running. So when you look at the top sides, I'm not saying we're going to get a striker from the top sides, but then you look at the middle of the table teams, and is there really any top strikers in the Premier League apart from Haaland? You've got obviously Isak. Let's speak about the strikers who we've got a chance of getting. We haven't got a chance of getting Isak. You look at the lad from Aston Villa. His name's gone.
Ollie Watkins.
I'd love a player like Ollie Watkins. The way David Moyes wants to play next season would suit that mould, would suit that setup. And I reckon Ollie Watkins would guarantee you 15 goals next season in an Everton shirt, because he was in and out of the Aston Villa team, Michael, wasn't he? And by all accounts, they are going to listen to offers for him. Arsenal were interested in him. Aston Villa put a block on that. But I do think Ollie Watkins has got a chance of leaving. No disrespect to our football club. I think if Ollie Watkins is up for grabs, I don't think he comes to Everton.
I mean, I don't think there's any disrespect there, John. I will tell you categorically right now, he doesn't come to Everton.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So, when you look at strikers in the Premier League, who is there who will come in and score 15 goals for Everton, who we've got a chance of getting?
Yeah, I think you're right. There is one player that we have been sort of linked with. I'm just trying to find.
Like, I know a lot of people keep saying about bringing Richie back. For me, It's too much sentiment. I don't think he's the same player anymore that played at Everton. He ran himself into the ground the last couple of games at Everton, and I think that's actually hampered since he went to Tottenham. How much effort he put in. He was playing through the pain barrier. He was playing with an injury, and I don't think he's been the player that he was at Everton at Tottenham. Does Richarlison come back to Everton and score you 15 goals in one season?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to genuinely know. There is another striker out there which has absolutely fallen off a cliff in terms of quality. But I genuinely think that this... I certainly think we could do worse than bringing him in. And that's Luka Jovic. From Milan. Luka Jovic, you may remember, he was the player that was at Frankfurt. He went to Real Madrid for big money, £60 million. Then you think he went back to Frankfurt, then Benfica. Then he's ended up in various different places, ended up back in Fiorentina. Then he moved to AC Milan, and he's currently about to... his contract's done. He's a free transfer. Now, I think Everton could do a lot worse than a 27-year-old Jovic, who, don't get me wrong, has not pulled up any trains in a few years. But we need, and we all know we need, 2 strikers. We don't need one, we need 2, because Chimiti's going to go out on loan. So the point I make is, if you could get a free transfer for a Luka Jovic, it does give you an option. And I'm not saying he's the solution, but I am saying it gives us more money to spend on another bigger striker, if you get what I mean. Because we need 2. I truly believe we need 2 strikers.
Well, we need 2 strikers because, as each day goes by, it looks more and more likely that Calvert-Lewin's going to go. We mentioned Smitty's probably going to go out on loans. That leaves you with Betto. So you do need 2 strikers. I don't see Everton spending money on 2 strikers. I think we go down the same sort of route as we have done with the right back. If we get Tete over the line, it could be a free transfer for one of the centre forwards or a loan deal from somewhere. And then I do think we spend quite a bit of cash on a more prolific, proven striker, but we're not going to do that on 2. So Luka Jovic could be the road to go down as a backup. He's not going to cost you nothing. Free transfer, won't be on massive wages. So it does give you the backup option, someone like that. But I do think Everton spend quite a bit of money on at least one more prolific striker than the ones we're being linked with and the ones that we've already got at the club.
Yeah. So the other 2 that we've been linked with, we all know we've been linked with Barry. We all know that. And we've also been linked with, and again, we have spoken about him on this channel a few times now, but we've been linked with Alexander Mitrovic, who, the ex-Fulham lad, went to Saudi. Apparently Everton are keen to bring him in. £38.5 million he would cost. I think that's mad.
How old is he?
30-odd.
See, I don't think Everton spend that much money on a 30-plus striker. Yes, he's proven himself in the Premier League. He's a handful. He'll go in where it hurts. He knows where the goal is. I think that's pretty obvious. There was rumours going about that his club in Saudi, if no one pays the money, that they may be willing to loan him out. Now, I think you come up with the stats the other week for Mitrovic, and the stats are very, very good over in Saudi. But yeah, I did bring up, are they trying to push him out the door because he's losing a bit of hunger now? And we said this, when you've been over there, is it easy to come back to the Premier League and carry on where you left off before you went somewhere like that? I'm unsure certain players will have the hunger to do it again when they come back. And, he could be one of them. That's my only worry about that. Listen, if we can get Mitrovic, I'd be all over it for a loan deal. I wouldn't be spending that much money on someone who's 30 odds. I definitely wouldn't. Not when we've got positions all over the pitch that need strengthening.
Yeah, well, the other player that has been linked with us a few times now is still Walton Mead. He's been linked with Everton a few times. He, by all accounts, has smashed it for Germany lately. To be honest, he looks like he's a goal machine. He looks like he's got the real capability to be a goal machine.
I think we spoke about him and we were talking about Barry as well, because we were linked with both of them at the same time, where me and you said, out of the 2 of them, from what you've seen, you prefer Walt Mead than Barry.
Yeah.
He has been pulling it up for Germany. He's been pulling trees up for Germany. The last couple of months, he's scoring goals again. He looks he doesn't look as raw as what Barry does. Now, I think when Moise Keane come to Everton, he was quite raw, and look what he's gone on to do. Can Everton afford to be bringing someone in like Barry who's quite raw as what he is? Probably not. If you've got the option to go and get Walt Mead, I'd be all over him. He's the one that I'd spend a hefty chunk of the transfer budget that we've got. He's the one who I'd probably throw money at more than anyone, to be fair.
Yeah, well, he by all accounts, he's absolutely smashing it in the under-21s competition for the Euros. I think he's scored a senior goal for Germany as well. All accounts, Chimiti's, it looks like he's going to be going to Stoke. I just think if you could bring in a Jovic and you could bring in somehow, by the way, because I think Watermead's going to have a lot of people interested in him. But if you could bring someone in like that, I think that's a really strong front line. Those three strikers. Betto offers you something different. Jovic is a class footballer with a good touch, good ability, and he's played at the absolute top level. You don't sign for a club for 60 million euros at some point in your career if you're shite. It just doesn't happen. So there's a player in there. Watermead, he is my preference. I'll be straight with you. He's my preference. I just don't see it happening.
I think if Everton bring two strikers in, I think Betto will look for a move out the club.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I think if we bring two strikers in, Beto's obviously going to have to weigh up his options, because we've said it on here, Michael, when you look at the strikers who we've got at the club currently, one's got a week left on his contract, another one's going to go out on loan. You've got Betto, he's probably the best striker we've got at the club. And let's be honest about it, he's not prolific, is he? He scored 11 goals last season. He had a purple patch under David Moyes. But we've spoke about it on here. Can he do it again? Do you get the consistency from Betto next season to push you up the league and to score goals quite regular, to get into double figures and more again? Do you get 15 goals from Betto next season, 20 goals? Because that's what you're going to need if we haven't got a striker who comes into the club who's more prolific. You're counting on Betto to score you at least 15 to 20 goals next season. It doesn't happen. So if Everton are going to split the burden with two brand new strikers coming into the club, I think Betto will look to move on. And I think Everton probably will move him on. And that's no disrespect to Betto, by the way, because since David Moyes come in, for me, Betto was one of the most improved players with the goals that he scored under David Moyes. David Moyes got the best out of Betto. So it's not a pop at Betto. I just don't think he consistently does over the season, get you 15, 20 goals to push us higher up the league where we need to be.
You loved Betto in the end, didn't you? His work rate, his tenacity.
Mate, I've never questioned his work rate since the day. Every time he pulls on that blue shirt, mate, I've never questioned his work rate. I've never questioned how he puts himself about, and I've never questioned how much he works for the team. And and he loves playing for Everton. He loves pulling that blue shirt on. That aside, as a footballer, I just don't think he's got it. I don't think he's got the minerals to take us to the next level. But I've never, ever, ever questioned his endeavour, his work rate and putting himself about, taking the chances when he gets them. He's just not very good on the eye. And again, I'll say it again, I just don't think he's good enough to take Everton where we need to be going.
I think this summer is so interesting, and me and you, not that you know this yet, but me and you are going to do an early predictions video, and then we're going to do a predictions video sort of at the end of the transfer window, and just really work out where we think each team's going to be. So we'll do that this week, and we'll talk about all 20 clubs, and we'll do a predictions video, and it'll be interesting to see where we are now with the business that teams have already done, and where Everton and the rest of the league is after all the business has been done. I think, for me, it's so important to get a striker. It's so important, and this the longer it draws on, the more frustrating it is. As we've said before, the players will be back in training in the next 10 to 14 days. We've got pre-season games. 15th of July, I think, is the first one, if I'm not mistaken. I think we play Accrington Stanley. I've got the fixtures here.
Accrington on the 15th and Blackburn on the 19th, is it?
Yeah. So, we've got games coming up that ideally we need someone in place for that, I would argue, because we need to move early. So, I don't know, mate. I think it's interesting. I think the longer it goes on, the worse it is. The fact we don't know what's going on with Calvert-Lewin still. I mean, I have my own opinion, and that is that I would rather Calvert-Lewin have been done and dusted by now. It's obvious that there is some negotiations going on, because you wouldn't leave it to this last minute. You just wouldn't do it. Everton have told all of the players that have already left that had a contract, that didn't have a contract offer, that they could go. So we're still waiting on Michael Keane. We're still waiting on Calvert-Lewin, and it does look like Garner's sorted today by all accounts. So I still think Calvert-Lewin signs.
Listen, I think, in my opinion, we need shitloads of players. We know that. But there's two positions for me that need to be strengthened more than anywhere else with quality. And for me, it's the right wing and it's up front. You know, we've got Dwight McNeil who can play on the left, and going forward, we have spoke about on him. Is he a moist type of player? We've got Ndiaye who can play out there. We've got absolutely no one on the right. No one at all. So for me, we need a right winger and we need a centre forward. I think that's where you'll find the majority of the transfer kitty is probably spent on them two positions. Going back to what you were saying before about we don't know about Calvert-Lewin. Listen, we need some clarity, and we've said that on here. We need clarity on these players. Michael Keane, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. As you say, Idrissa Gana guy looks like he's probably going to stay. But we need to know where we are. We've spoke on here, Michael, but the amount of players that we need to bring, well, not the amount of players we need to bring in, the amount of players we've lost, it goes without saying that it needs to be a busy transfer window. And we also said on here, the pre-season, the summer break seems a very quick turnaround to me this year. It doesn't feel like it long since we finished, and I think they're back next week. So we need players in to hit the ground running, to integrate with the players that we have got, to get them used to Finch Farm. There's probably going to be some training sessions at Bramley Moor as well, so they can get used to the surroundings there. We need as many players in before these pre-season games start to kick in, because not long after the Blackburn game, we're flying to America. So you'd also like to think that we're going to have some new additions in the squad that can make that journey to America as well.
Spot on, John. If I don't say so myself. I just wanted to finish the video with some of the comments that we've not necessarily read out the comments, but some of the love we've received in the comments. The comments over the last few days and weeks have been phenomenal. Obviously, from a personal perspective with me, they've been amazing. But for some, you know, we've received some really complimentary comments of me and John, and the stuff that we've put in place, and the work that we're trying to put in. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. You know, we've got people joining up on the membership. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The membership is literally just there as a monthly payment to help us out. You don't really get anything exclusive for it. I think there's literally 10 members. So those 10 members, thank you ever so much for your little contributions that you give every month. You don't have to. We'll never make anyone do it, but just to thank you ever so much. And yeah, the channel is flying. Like, it's absolutely flying.
Yeah, we've hit 15.3 thousand subscribers now, which it's taken us a while to get that, but I think it's obvious with the more videos we're doing, and we are trying to make the content better, and these news videos really do help, because we're putting 5 out a week. I sent some of the comments to Michael today when I was reading them, screenshotted them. He'd seen some of them, he hadn't seen some of them. But I don't think I can honestly remember, since I've been on the channel, the amount of positive, nice comments that we're getting probably over the last 6 weeks than what we have been getting. You know, there was someone in the comments who's a Leeds fan and has subscribed to our channel and always watches us. There's other people who have said they always watched other channels, but now ours is the go-to one and we're the number one. And listen, we do our best. You know, we do our best. We don't get everything right. And when it comes to stats, we do sometimes put our foot in it and get it wrong and stuff like that. But we do try. And it's nice to know that people do appreciate what we do, and the views are massive lately, and the subscribers are going up, and the nice comments are going up. So all in all, it makes us feel like doing these more videos for you people makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, spot on. Right, we will leave it there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. And it feels only right that we let John end the video.
I hate the way you do this because you'd always drop it on me. Right, yeah,